Remember when the Flash movie starring Ezra Miller came out in cinemas and it just absolutely bombed at the box office because it was just downright terrible? And then the director decided the best thing to do is to blame the fans for it. Well, yeah, he's doing that again. Yep, so Flash director Andy Muschietti is taking the low road as usual and deciding that, rather than take any responsibility and say that his Flash movie wasn't good because I watched the movie, it really wasn't good. I mean, the best things about that movie was Michael Keaton Batman and Ben Affleck Batman, and even they couldn't save the damn thing. So I don't know we're trying to fool, but better than admitting, hey, I made a ridiculous movie. We all thought this was going to be something, and it turned out to be a whole load of crap. Better we just blame the fans, man. Yeah, that always works. That always works. Let's dive into this here from the article from Cosmic Book News. Andy Muschietti blames fans for the Flash bombing. Yeah, because it's our fault. Yeah, that's what it is. It's our fault. Ever heard a director pin the blame for his movie's flop squarely on the audience? Welcome to Andy Muschietti's post-mortem for The Flash. He's back at it again, yes, because he did this before. He literally did this before where he blamed the fans for Flash cratering, even though you had James Gunn and them other say that The Flash is the greatest superhero movie they ever saw. That should tell you everything you need to know about his entire DCU, but still, let's continue on. In a candid appearance on the Binge Worthy podcast, he seemed to argue that the film didn't bomb because of creative failures or because the fans never even let it compete. So, the fact the movie was terrible, the CGI looked nonsensical, the plot made no sense. The whole story was an absolute failure. The fact that you dragged Michael Keaton Batman into it, hoping for some nostalgia bit, and yes, people would care about that. The whole reason I saw it was because of Michael Keaton Batman. And like I say, even him and Ben Affleck Batman couldn't save the thing. No, it's because the fans never let it compete. Compete with what? Who was it competing with? But no, let's continue whatever he has to say. Muschietti didn't hold back when talking about The Flash's failure. The movie made 108 million domestic and 163 million overseas for a worldwide total of 271 million, far below what Warner Brothers needed to break even. Muschietti said the movie was good and that people just didn't give it a chance. Well, let's hear what he has to say. A lot of people did not see it, but you know how things are these days. People don't see things, but they like to talk shit about it. And they like to jump on bandwagons. They don't really know. People are angry for reasons that are unrelated to these things. Okay, a lot of people did not see it because the people who did see it told them it was garbage. You see, you cannot rely on these so-called movie critics anymore who give everything glowing reviews because they're being paid to. That's not me making it up. They are literally being paid to give things glowing reviews only to find out the source of the nonsense of what's going on. But that's what's happening. They're being paid to do this, so that's what they do. They give it glowing reviews. When people actually go and watch movies, they give an honest opinion. Now, I do movie reviews. I watch a movie and I give it my honest review. It doesn't matter if people say, they must love it. I have no problem with people liking a movie that I don't like. I respect the fact people have to watch it, but I will give my honest opinion and I will give exact reasons as to why I like or don't like something. I'm not sugarcoating anything to make anybody happy. And I can tell you, after having watched The Flash and I blocked out a lot of it from my mind because it was really terrible, it was nonsense. So acting like, people jumping on bandwagons and all kind of, no, people jumping on bandwagons, that is the opposite of it. People giving things reviews because they want access and tote bags. That is it. When you come down to honesty, you ain't getting that. But I'm guess he has more to say. In his view, The Flash didn't bomb because of the film itself. It bombed because fans never showed up. God forbid he asked why people didn't show up. No, God forbid. Muschietti said he thinks people just didn't give The Flash a fair chance and instead piled on it because it became the cool thing to hate. Doesn't make any sense. His comments echo similar complaints from Hollywood directors, of course, who blame online chatter and fan backlash. James Mangold comes to mind for killing interest before a film even opens. I love it how they always try to do this, because, people will say that, especially when it comes to YouTubers like us, they say that, you all just want to, spread a bunch of hate online and all kind of this and that, the other. And then they turn around and say, oh yeah, they're sorry that you don't have any real power to do anything like that. So which is it? Is it that we can influence the masses by the millions and the billions, or we can't? Because I really don't get it. You see the difference between what they do and what we do is that they act like people must just consume anything and never ask a question, never bother to say, this is good, this isn't good. No, they shut up and take it. And we actually have the intelligence to believe that everybody is smart enough to judge whether something is good or bad. And all we are doing is just giving our opinion on it. And there are people who believe us, but there are people who I believe when I look to do, if I don't see a movie and I see somebody reviews it, like I can honestly say, yes, this person gets it because I can trust that this person is actually telling the truth. But there are lots of these companies and you cannot trust that damn thing that they say because they lie like they breathe. That's what. According to Muschietti, a lot of people did not see it but still joined in on the criticism. He suggested much of the anger surrounding the movie had nothing to do with the story or direction, but outside factors. Now, this is when you could tell they're just bold-facedly lying. That's when you could just tell they're just bold-facedly lying, because look at this nonsense. You wonder why people didn't show up? Come on. However, Muschietti did admit Ezra Miller's off-screen problems didn't help the situation. Oh, you mean when Ezra Miller was like an absolute freaking lunatic and they were doing everything possible to cover for him because of privilege? Because he went out there and he checked boxes talking about how, he was non-binary and they, them and crazy as all shit, but they were out there protecting him. You understand? But anybody else, they just want to kick them to the curve. But no, because Ezra Miller could do that shit, they were happy to cover up for him, right? This is what he had to say. Of course, we had a publicity crisis with Ezra that is undeniable. And I'm not questioning that. But yeah, we love the movie and actually we really recommend it. Yeah, so Ezra Miller was doing nonsense and he just wants to brush it under the rug and say, well, he had a publicity crisis with it, that's undeniable. But we actually love the movie, really, yeah. Muschietti also said Warner Brothers stood by the project even when it became clear the headlines surrounding Miller could sink the movie. We also had so much support from the studio, really at a point where they could have been backing out because of all the issues we were having with publicity. They went all in and we all went all in. And again, we loved the movie. We gave it our blood, sweat, and tears all the way to the end. And I watched it a week ago and I loved it again. You gave it blood, sweat, and tears. How about some actual good storytelling and a cohesive idea and some good CGI and maybe a big helping of common sense? Maybe if you'd put that in instead of blood, sweat, and tears, it might have worked. Just saying. Look at this nonsense. Look at this nonsense. You can't tell, and you're wondering why? Oh God. Muschietti claiming he had the full support of Warner Brothers doesn't add up. Why not? Those were the same people who didn't want to make a Batman Beyond movie, the Batman Beyond animated movie that would have sure put money in their pocket. So why not? Not only has it been reported that the ending was changed because of James Gunn and the new DCU, but insiders filled us in on the real ending of The Flash, which would have continued Zack Snyder's DCU under Mike DeLuca, who those at DCU once it's sold, right? That's not all our insiders also filled us in on the special effect of The Flash went unfinished, which has since been confirmed. Yeah, because I mean, even when you look at it and the cast of the Flash, right? Look at the cast of the Flash. You had Sasha Calle who played Supergirl. And I'm not saying anything, she's a beautiful woman and all that, but let's not pretend here. The only reason she was cast was because they wanted to say, okay, you know what? She is of Colombian descent. Let's make a big thing about it. And people would buy. The same thing happened with the Batgirl movie. Hell, you even had Michael Shannon who played General Zod, and he was basically confused as to why Zod was still alive because, Zod died in the Superman movie, so he wasn't sure what the hell was going on. But that's what they were doing. They weren't trying to make anything, but they were just throwing crap at the wall and hoping it stick. That was it. That's all they were going for. Muschietti had the IT spin-off series Welcome to Derry premiering on October 26th. He's also supposed to direct the Batman movie, Batman, the Brave and the Bold for James Gunn in the DCU. However, we're betting it will never happen. Yeah, because in regards to the Batman, Brave and the Bold movie for James Gunn in the DCU, what the last thing I heard when it came to Andy Muschietti, he said that, you have to wait some months for an update on that. So you had like almost 2 years, and now you have to wait some months to get an update on it. But no, you're outside here complaining, fans didn't like the Flash because it was a cool thing to do and all that. Oh God, take a little bit of responsibility and just admit you didn't make a good movie. The Flash was a terrible movie. It made no sense. You could have just made an actual movie about Flash, Barry Allen. I don't know what the hell Ezra Miller was playing. I don't know what character he was playing. It wasn't Barry Allen. You could have just made a movie about Barry Allen, put like reverse Flash in it, and just put together a really good cohesive story, because you had everything set up with the whole, his father is in prison for killing his mother. You can just put it like, reverse Flash kill his mother. Because honestly, when you think about reverse Flash in the comics, that guy has to be the biggest hater there is. He literally turned himself into a literal paradox just to be able to terrorize Barry Allen's life. That's how much he hates him. So you could have worked with that, but no, instead you went out there, made some crap, and then came back to tell everybody it's a really good movie and people just didn't like it because they just want to hate things. Come on, man. Be realistic. You made a crappy movie and you could have just admitted, listen, we made a crappy movie, let's just admit that and move on. But no, it's always everybody else's fault but any one of you all. So yeah, Andy Muschietti is once again out there blaming fans for the Flash movie bombing because, it's not his fault. It's not the writer's fault. It's not Ezra Miller behaving like an absolute lunatic. It's not them trying to push an agenda with Sasha Calle, Supergirl, who actually admitted that, she had signed on for a multiple movie deal, and they wanted to do this whole thing where she and Superman were going to be together all the time. All the things was going to be they were going to be in a movie together, all that. Everything she admitted all that was going to happen, just fell apart. WB was pushing a lot of nonsense nobody wanted. But no, it's not their fault at all. It's always ours. It's always the fans' fault for not loving their nonsense. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. You have a different opinion, I'd love to hear it. If you like the video, hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the notification bell to be notified every time I put out a new video. And I shall see you all next time. Take care.